Well, what did I do? I didn't... That's the problem with this frame is you have to sew on extra pieces, and my instructions don't ever mention that. And it's been a long time since I've used it, so... Well, I see now I made a terrible mistake. I whacked off this. Don't ask me why. I wasn't thinking when I put it on the poles. It should have been as long as the quilt, right? It was very stupid. So I'm going to have to take it off the frame now and go back to the sewing machine and sew on the rest of this lining. You see the quilt goes farther than the back goes by 6 inches or so. Or I could, well, I could, since I put on X, this is not really all that interesting up here, I could just whack this off to fit the bottom. In any case, I think I'll take it off the frame now. That's just too lousy a thing to do. So, obviously I've got to trim this. I made my mistake and whacked that off. So I've got to make this level, and then I'll have to sew another piece on it to make it as long as the rest of the quilt. And then I'll try to decide. This is the back. Well, of course I didn't chop that off, but I replaced what I had whacked off there. So, but I had to take it off the frame because I was too near the end. So now sometimes I'm using these hoops if it's too far in. Otherwise, I'm just doing it like this. Okay, so Tadbit. Please put your video up on my video. If you don't know how to do that, let me know and I'll show you. It's really simple, and you can put it in as a response. It's a wonderful video. You just made my day with that. And there's so many things to talk about. I don't know where to start, but one of them is like you're showing, and if you show that on the as a response, everybody can see it, because it's something really interesting, I think, for everybody to be part of. So you've got that one flower garden quilt there that you're working on. You've pieced everything. Good Lord. That's why I didn't want to do anything with my flower garden quilt, because you have to hand piece those, I think. I mean, it wouldn't be any point in machine piecing one of those flower gardens. But if I were going to do a flower garden quilt and do all of that, I'd have some weeds. What about weeds in the flower garden? See, on all those traditional quilts, which that's where my heart really is with the traditional ones, and I'm going to do that, my next quilt, whenever that might be, not soon. So, you're having to cut all those little white hexagons and put in. Why all white? See, you say that you think you're not, maybe I forget, I gotta listen to the thing again. I'm making up half of this. But anyway, I'd have some little stray things in there, some colors in there. Doesn't have to be all white. What if you had things that were like part of the hexagrams, but that went wandering off? You could confuse them You could have other things going on. You don't have to just do white there. I know that's the traditional, but I like to take the traditional forms and then say, hey, look what we could do with this. You could have some of those be lopsided or bigger than that size. As I recall, you had one of them that was solid red, maybe, around the outside. That wasn't like any of the others. So what would you do with that? And are you laying this out on the wall? It looks sort of like you did have it stuck up on the wall. So in that case, why don't you start playing around, letting some other things go on there? We all know a flower garden quilt, and everybody does it, and everybody does it pretty much the same way. But you don't seem like that kind of a person to me. I think you can, even though you're using traditional forms, you could do some really creative, interesting things. And if you're playing on the wall with it, take a look at ArtyLad. And ArtyLad, you've got to put your quilt up as a response here so other people can see it. Now, there's really great things going on there. Lots of adventure. And just squares. Lima, take a look at ArtyLad's quilt and it'll give you an idea of what you can do with just squares.